Another day, another show. WIP Afternoon Show with Ike, Spike, and Fritz. Ike, hello.
Up, Spike. Jackie Baseball. How about your boy?
I'm mad at Spike.
Uh-oh.
Whoa.
What happened?
What did I do?
So WIP put back out the video of me and Trey Turner.
Yes, actually, I wanted to start the show with that. Even though we discussed something else, I just wanted to bring that up. So what did I do, though?
Well, because now my friends are texting me saying, it was a lot of touching.
It's too much touching. So for anyone who doesn't know what we're talking about here, of course, Jack does the standing ovation thing last year for Trey Turner, and then finally, was that after they won the division or the NLDS?
After they beat the Braves.
After they beat the Braves. Yeah. So after they beat the Braves, there's a celebration in the clubhouse, and Jack's back there with Seltzer, just friggin' standing there. And finally, he gets to say hello to Trey Turner, and there's this video of Jack talking to Trey, as Trey is obviously dying to get out of that conversation, but they're talking. And Jack,
he was not dying. All right, he was very engaged in the conversation.
Jack touches him.
I think he was engaged. I'm with you on that, Jack. I think he was in.
Well, Jack was looking for a different kind of engagement, I think, than Trey was. I think Jack had a ring in his pocket, was ready to go down on one knee. And that was the kind of engagement Jack was looking for. But when you're watching the video, Jack touches him on the arm twice, and then taps him on the chest. And when
guys being guys.
Well,
what about the end when he did it back to me?
Well, because he's just trying to make you feel better. Right? I mean, okay, you say guys being guys, right? That's what Jack says. So we're three guys here, right? We see each other every day, have great shows. I've never touched one of you guys 3 separate times in one conversation.
Well, we've never been boozing.
That's a good point.
That is a good point.
No, we were boozing in Clearwater.
Yeah, we barely knew each other then.
We've known each other for a decade.
Wait till next time in Clearwater, buddy.
I don't want you touching me like that. And I'm watching the video. It's obvious to everybody, and it's on the WIP Twitter account if you want to see it right now, if nobody has seen it. But and I'm curious, did Jack touch Trey Turner too much? 215-592-9494. I'm watching it thinking to myself, and even thinking today as the video is alive and the standing ovation is alive, right? Do you think there's a piece of Trey Turner that thinks to himself, I'd rather just hit 240 than give this kid credit?
For sure. I think he got there by, that's why you had to hit 340 this year.
Yes.
So you didn't have to hear about anything.
Yeah. Didn't need another one from you.
Yeah. Yep.
Honestly.
This was his motivation. Make sure he doesn't go through this again.
Yeah. No, I don't blame him. It's been a lot. It's been a big year.
Yeah.
So, yes, once again, honestly, the video is resurfacing.
Truthfully,
I think one of the best moments, by the way, one of the best moments of my life, right?
Of course.
Unbelievable moment, watershed, right?
Yep.
And now it just gets crapped on.
Yep.
On a daily basis.
Gonna ruin it.
Yeah. I might delete it off my phone. Yeah, no.
No, don't delete it.
Well, just know you could delete it off the phone all you want, and as Ike knows about that photo, it ain't going anywhere, buddy.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that
up.
up.
I'm just saying, you can't get rid of stuff off the internet. I think one of the reasons that Nick Castellanos has improved this year is fear that you would standing him and want to touch him in the clubhouse after a game or something.
You best believe no one in that clubhouse wants a standing ovation.
Absolutely not. They I'm sure they make fun of Trey.
This man was an all-star before then, a World Series champion before then, and now he gets associated with a charity case from this Bloomsburg baseball guy.
Yeah, I was going to say Mr. D. He had to get saved by Mr. D3 over here.
D2. And the disrespect you have towards the PSAC is just egregious. Again, the ERA may have been over 10. Maybe I could have had a standing ovation, and I wouldn't be here today. Have you thought about that?
Yeah, maybe Trey could have helped you back then. Maybe Trey could have helped you. All right, today's show is...
This is one of the better moments of this show's existence. I'm just letting you know.
Well, also, I just can't wait to find... Now, we did play Trey the video when we were at spring training. I'm going to play it for him again next year. I mean, I'm going to... Even if he doesn't do an interview, I will run out onto the field with a phone and say, Trey, did he touch you too much in this one?
He's going to say baseball guys do baseball guy things.
Yeah.
That's what he's going to say.
All right.
Oh, man.
All right. Today's show, by the way, is sponsored by Guided Door and Window. Take advantage.
Do they still sponsor it after that open?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, good.
I think so. I think they feel great after it, actually. Take advantage of Guided Door and Window's big summer sales event. Receive 40% off all windows and doors. Call 1-877-GO-GUIDA or visit GoGUIDA.com. Okay, speaking of the Phillies, big win last night. And I know you would be lying, by the way, if you said to yourself, if you didn't say that when Harper has to leg out, when Bryce has to leg out a potential infield single in the first inning, if we weren't all shaking a little bit, because I was shaking. I was like, oh my God, of course he has to run here.
Shaking.
Well, I think it's, by the way, it's proof that there's no go 75%. Like that can't.
Because you can't control that once the game starts.
And by the way, you knew that right away.
First and back.
Yep. And aside from Zach Wheeler with a little bit of back tightness, and we'll get to that later, it was a big win to have the Dodgers come in here and basically get them to wave the white flag in the 7th inning and pull starters and take Ohtani out. Yeah. That's a big win.
Yeah.
But what everybody's arguing about, which is insane to me, is this Stubbs and Marchand thing. And obviously, Marchand has been a better hitter than Stubbs so far. He's got a cannon arm, and a lot of people arguing over whether Marchand or Stubbs should be the backup catcher. And I see Jack say, and the argument overall with the Marchand-Stubbs thing is they need Stubbs in there for vibes and for chemistry and all this sort of stuff. And I just want to say, and this isn't a Marchand-Stubbs debate per se, stop worrying about chemistry. You know, we are 3 weeks away from the trade deadline. Mm-hmm. I want Dave Dombrowski to get the best players. Get me guys that can hit home runs. Get me guys that can strike out, that can throw 102 miles an hour in the bullpen and strike people out. Players. If they win, the chemistry will be fine. I promise you, this whole thing about worrying about chemistry is crazy. Get the most talented players. There are so many different instances in sports history. Aaron Hernandez was out there killing people, and the Patriots were winning Super Bowls. Don't talk to me about bad guys, good guys. I don't care what he does off the field.
They were going to Super Bowls. They didn't actually win.
Well, going to Super Bowls. Yeah, good point. Good point.
Just want to make for somebody else point.
Sure. Yeah, going to Super Bowls.
They still made it to, but they didn't win them.
Draymond Green, punching people, kicking people, whatever. Mm-hmm. There's just like a long list. And as we approach this trade deadline, Dave Dombrowski should not be worried about chemistry and should not be worried about vibes. He should be worrying about home runs, talent. Give me talent over chemistry any day of the week.
Yeah, listen, I'm not going to completely disagree with you there. You know, I'm not going to overplay the whole chemistry, good vibes thing in the clubhouse. I do believe it's important. Don't get me wrong. I believe it's important. But it's only important to a certain degree. And I don't think it's more important than having good players on your team. But this is what I'll say to that. You can't, when you're talking about adding guys to the clubhouse or the locker room, you do need to take that into consideration. Yes, his talent or that person's talent should certainly be valued, but how that person fits in to a locker room or a clubhouse, especially on a team that's already winning. So I don't think it's something you can just stamp for every circumstance and every situation. I think the circumstances and situations do matter. You got a good locker room or clubhouse already. You're in first place. So that lends to how desperate do you need to add the talent to the roster, right? That should be considered. You know, listen, when we added T.O., in 2004, we were coming off an NFC championship loss. Our locker room was fine. We didn't have any issues in the locker room, right? We were a good football team already, but we knew that was a personality and the potential that it had in the locker room because his reputation had already preceded him. Like you saw that. He had a track record. But because we were in such a desperate situation, having lost 3 conference championship games, that was a risk the organization was willing to take. It was never about how good he is. It was whether or not can he fit in to our locker room and our culture and our chemistry there. And he did for a year. And then things didn't go well.
Right.
And the team that was still talented crumbled.
Fell apart.
Yeah.
Right. 215-592-9494. As the Phillies approach the trade deadline, what's most important?
That's the personal example I can give.
Right. The obvious one, which, by the way, and a big one, talent or chemistry? What's more important? 215-592-9494. Jackie touches over there. What's your...
And the final thing on the touching thing is that it was like we were close. It was close. It was loud. There was a lot of music was playing in the background.
You weren't getting his attention.
You weren't that close. You were sitting there looking at you.
Well, hold on. The fact that they were close, like... That's even more reason why you don't have to touch it.
But it was loud. Like, it was loud in there. It was basically a party atmosphere. You know when you're in the club.
Smile at him, dude.
Hold on. When you're trying to mack at the club, like I've done
Was that what you were trying to do?
Not mack, no.
Okay,
maybe a poor example.
Okay.
But,
terrible example.
Yeah.
But, you're close, and it's loud. You got to make sure they hear you, or else it turns into a worse interaction. I defend myself.
How does touching him on the chest make him hear you better?
Well, just like, this guy, bro,
No, you were getting his attention when it was unnecessary. He was looking right at you.
Whose side are you on?
Yours.
It doesn't sound like it.
Wow.
It doesn't
He's on your side. He just doesn't want to be too close to your side because he doesn't want any, unconsensual touching.
Listen, I'm on your side in the sense of... You were overwhelmed in the moment.
Yeah, just say it.
I see what Spike is saying. That
I
the
overdid
touching was a little overdone.
I was essentially, I don't even remember it. Like, what do you want me to do?
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
All right. Anyway.
Trade deadline.
And you brought this.
Vibes or talent.
You brought this Stubbs thing. And I would like to, again, bring you back to the 05 Eagles. Mm-hmm. Because they let Garrett Stubbs go. From the 04 Eagles. They let him go to Atlanta.
Wow, he's trying to win you over here. By calling you Garrett Stubbs, by the way.
And look how that worked out for that team. It completely fell apart.
I like that, man.
Thank you. We had Garrett Stubbs. Like, he's on the NFC Championship poster when they run out to the field. Ike Reese's. I mean, like, that's what we're talking about. He was voted, by the way, voted as one of the 11 best teammates in all of baseball.
What are you?
Where the hell did that poll come from?
From The Athletic.
Oh.
He's up there with, like, the Judges, the Harper, and then there's Stubbs, okay? Like, he matters. Enough with the Marshawn thing. Everyone will be okay.
Wow.
And, like this team, listen, when they are evaluating who to bring in the trade deadline, I agree. They need a bat. They need a bullpen guy. It's talent, sure, but the most important thing is chemistry and how much he's going to add to it. And because this locker room is different. Like, it's part of what's made them go on these runs the last 2 years. It's a special, special clubhouse, and they cannot screw that up.
It does matter.
Chemistry did not get you the hit you needed in Game 6 or Game 7 last year.
Sure.
Chemistry is not going to, you can't pinch hit for Johan Rojas with chemistry. You have to have somebody who can actually hit. And the final thing I'll say here, and I know it doesn't seem this way, but it's really not that different. And Ike, you made a point there. You said, look, we had lost 3 consecutive NFC Championship games. We were in a desperate situation, so we decided to go for the most talent. The Phillies have not lost 3 consecutive, but they have lost 2, and they have they got to the World Series, then they got to the NLCS. They are in the best position they may ever be in this run to win the World Series this year. Now, I'm not saying it is desperate, but I'm also not saying...
I feel desperate enough.
I don't know that it's going to be better next year.
Right.
Bryce Harper's injured every year. Our star catcher has had this knee issue for a while, just had knee surgery. I don't know, but Zach Wheeler's 34.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're going to get a Ranger Suarez, and Chris Sanchez next year like we got this year. That's why I'm just saying... I don't mind if the Phillies go for the TO this year. I don't know who that is, right? But I would also say this, is that your locker room with the Eagles now couldn't stand it for 2 years, but it absolutely could stand it for 1 year.
Yep. And
I think the Phillies have enough of a clubhouse and enough of a locker room. Just bring me a guy that has an 863 OPS that can hit 38 home runs in a season, that can hit 5th, so we can move Castellanos to 6th, and we can have Bryson Stott hit 7th. I'm telling you, that lineup is going to look so. What's that?
That sounds like Roberts.
Yes, it sounds like Luis Robert, or it sounds like there's
Bellinger.
He's better hitter than what they have out there. Certainly a better hitter than Johan Rojas. So 215-592-9494. What do you think is most important for the Phillies at the trade deadline? Talent or vibes and chemistry?